Today, we are going to talk about hydrogen.
Since the beginning of time. Of Jupiter.
Now, researchers have made a new material that has never existed on Earth before: metallic hydrogen. Now, hydrogen is the simplest atom in the periodic table of elements. It consists of a single proton and a single electron around it. At room temperature, it exists as a gas. But when you cool hydrogen down to lower temperatures, it actually liquefies. And if I cool it to just 14 degrees, it actually solidifies. Now imagine my fingers are molecules with two atoms. If you compress them with high density, you will get to a pressure or density with molecules that associate and turns into an atomic solid. This is a metal.
You have two diamonds opposite to each other. Inside, we load the sample as a liquid state. As soon as you pressure it, the molecule will get closer together and become solid. And then we're squeezing the solid. And even though the device looks very small, we can generate pressure more than the center of the Earth.
You never know how it's going to be applied, but imagine that it's metastable, and you can make electrical wires out of it. You could conduct electricity across the country without dissipation. You could make magnets which are used in MRI. For example, that would work at room temperature. Right now, the magnets have to be cooled with liquid helium. NASA has supported some of this research because it turns out that it's metastable, and you could use it to convert molecular hydrogen. It releases an enormous amount of energy, and it would revolutionize rocketry, and it's a very nice thing to achieve. Now here's more from Jake Gintu.
Technical and Israel Institute of Technology researchers have developed a new approach to the production of hydrogen from water using solar energy. The new technology is expected to significantly reduce the cost of producing the hydrogen and shipping it to the customer.
Hydrogen is considered one of the most promising energy carriers for vehicles and various other uses because of its salient advantages. First is, hydrogen can be produced from water, and therefore production does not depend on access to non-renewable natural resources.
Using hydrogen fuel will reduce the dependence on fossil fuels such as oil and natural gas, whose availability depends on geographical, political, and other factors.
Unlike diesel and gasoline engines that emit considerable pollution into the air, the only byproduct of hydrogen fuel utilization is water.
Because of the advantages of hydrogen fuel, many countries, led by Japan, Germany, and the United States, are investing vast sums of money in programs for the development of environmentally friendly technologies for the production of hydrogen.
Diamonds opposite to each other. Since the beginning of time. Of Jupiter.
Hey now. What's that?
Hydrogen ion nomenclatures. It's about time I read something about it.
Hydrogen, huh? Hydrogen is located in water, right? Well, since we're talking about hydrogen, what is hydrogen? What do we use them for? For me, it's just gases floating around the air. Do we even need them?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. Hydrogen has many uses in our lives. Take, for example, hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide has the same chemical composition as water, except with just a little bit added extra oxygen, making it an H2O2. Hydrogen peroxide can also be used as a sterilizing agent in hospitals and clinics to sterilize wounds, cuts, lacerations, and the like.
Oh, interesting. So, what about in lamps and balloons? I know in balloons you use helium to make them float, but I'm just curious do balloons need hydrogen?
Well, in lamps, hydrogen gas can be used in deuterium arc lamps. Deuterium is one of the two most stable isotopes of hydrogen, and deuterium arc lamps are used to produce ultraviolet light. Deuterium arc lamps has this tungsten filament inside of them, that produces heat, and when it produces heat, it um, it excites the deuterium atoms and produces light in the ultraviolet region.
So,
And in balloons, since hydrogen has a lightweight nature, probably less dense than any of the gaseous elements combined, so it can be used to fill up balloons. But due to its flammable nature, when it comes in contact with fire, it can explode, thus using helium as a replacement.
wait, hydrogen explodes?
Yeah.
Oh, so they use bombs for it, right?
Yes, latest military technology states that there are a couple of testing for new hydrogen bombs.
So, where did hydrogen come from?
Well, if you want to know more about the history of hydrogen, just ask the guy next door.
So hydrogen. Hydrogen has been around since the beginning of time, or even before the world has begun. It took a chemist's name, Antoine Lavoisier, to name it.
So where did the word hydrogen come from?
So I'm glad you asked. So this word hydrogen came from the Greek word hydro, or we commonly known as water.
Lavoisier knew that hydrogen can be found in all water molecules. Hydrogen can also be found in every organism. Now where can we find hydrogen?
So we can find hydrogen from our very own the sun, and we all know for a fact that the sun is a one big ball of fire. One element that makes the sun burn is hydrogen.
Hydrogen can also be found in plants. Sugars can be found inside plants, and hydrogen can also be found in sugar.
So sometimes we see someone working with blow torches, and this blow torches produces bright fire. In short, that this fire has hydrogen.
Hydrogen can also be found in something called cryogenics. Cryogenics is a process of freezing something. When hydrogen is in liquid form, it's very, very cold.
Giant's opposite hydrogen.
Since the beginning of time.
Of Jupiter.
Did you know that about 10% of the weight of the living organisms is hydrogen? Mainly protein, water, and fats?
Hydrogen is believed to be one of three elements produced in the Big Bang. The others are helium and lithium. At that time, the universe was made out of about 92% hydrogen atoms and 8% helium atoms, by number with a few amounts of lithium and beryllium, but not much else.
Our own life-giving sun is fueled by hydrogen in its core. Every second, it converts hundreds of millions of tons of hydrogen into helium, generating mind-boggling amounts of energy.
First gas balloon flight was launched in Paris in 1783. And the gas used in the balloon was hydrogen. According to the National Balloon Museum, its use in filling airships ended when the Hindenburg caught on fire, according to the Royal Society.
Hydrogen is the main component of Jupiter and other gas giant planets, according to Los Alamos.
There are 60 seconds in a minute.
NASA uses hydrogen as a rocket fuel to deliver crew to space.
I have crippling depression.
Hydrogen is about 14 times lighter than air. according to principles of chemistry.
Hydrogen has the lowest density among all the other elements, according to the Royal Society.
At least 3 cubic feet of hydrogen are produced in the United States per year, according to Los Alamos.
Liquefied hydrogen is extremely cold and it can cause severe frostbite when it comes into contact with the skin.
Hydrogen is the only element whose 3 common isotopes, protium, deuterium, and tritium, have been given different names, Los Alamos reports.
Hydrogen, giant's opposite hydrogen.
Since the beginning of time.
Of Jupiter,